Hello, in this video I'll show you how to send an email from a Libreoffice basic macro. More specifically, I will show you how to send a spreadsheet from a macro. This tutorial is for Windows, but can easily be modified to work on Linux. And I will assume that you have a working email client. On Windows, the default Windows mail program did not work for me, so I set up Mozilla Thunderbird. So you need to log into Thunderbird and then go to the Windows search bar and write default apps. And make sure that Thunderbird is the default email application. For me, the Windows Mail application did not work, but others might. I haven't tested them. Thunderbird is just excellent, so I'm using that. Now we can proceed on to programming our basic script. So first, go to LibreOffice Calc, and by the way, you need to make sure that your spreadsheet is saved, because we need to have it all saved on our computer to send it. If it's not saved, then you can't really send it. So now go to Tools, and then Macros, and then Edit Macros, and now we need to create a new one. So I'll just create a module, go to that, and then My Macros, and then New. I'll call this Email. Now go to Email, and let's just replace this submain with sub send email. So first, I'll start with some variables which we'll use to send the email. So we need email address, subject, we need to interface with LibreOffice itself, and we need to select the email client which we'll use, and then the message, the email that we will send itself. So first, dim email address, that's the address that we'll send it to. This is a string. If you remember from the last video, if you've watched it, dim is just a variable. So subject is a string. Now dim emailer, that's the interface which we'll use with LibreOffice to send the email. So that's going to be an object. And then dim email client as an object. And then dim eMessage as object. So I'll explain what all of these mean in a bit later. So first let's just handle the address and subject. So our email address will be one of my junk mail addresses. And the subject, I'll just have the subject be, preset, but you can change this to anything you want. So I have it as a spreadsheet email. So now we need to, interface with, with Windows. Well, not with LibreOffice, so that LibreOffice can interface with Windows. So we need to create something called an UNO service. So equals create UNO service. So what's an UNO service? Well, UNO is something called a component model that LibreOffice uses to provide an interface to different programming languages, so that you can use basically any programming language with LibreOffice and you can access LibreOffice functions. In this case, UNO provides a simple email interface that can work on different operating systems with little changes. So to send an email on Windows, we need to interface with the simple system mail service. And you'll need to copy this verbatim. I will not type this. All the code and everything is in the description, or my GitHub, which is in the description. So we basically created the emailer, our function that will communicate with LibreOffice to tell it everything we want to tell LibreOffice. And now we need to set up our email client. So we can set that up easily using the emailer service that we've created. So the email service can just do this: query simple mail client. So this will basically tell LibreOffice, hey LibreOffice, find the default mail client on this computer, and LibreOffice will do that. And you can access this from basically any programming language and do the same. So in this case, email client will be Mozilla Thunderbird. And now we need to create the email itself. So the variable for the email is eMessage, which will be equal to email client. So we ask the email client, hey, create a simple mail message, and like we need to tell it, okay, what does an email contain? Well, it contains body, a subject, a recipient, and an attachment. You don't need all of those, but you need a recipient, the address. That's pretty important. So first, let's set the body. eMessage.body equals GetBody. We need to create the function GetBody. It's not an inbuilt function, so function GetBody, and we'll just have it. We'll just have a one-line function, but we'll use something called a pop-up input box. So basically, it will just be like it'll pop up an input box, and it will say like type in whatever we want to type in, and it will return that as a function. So here's how it works. GetBody, if you remember, the name of the function is also the thing that gets returned. So if you want, instead of in normal programming language, you type in return whatever you want to return. Here in BASIC, just GetBody. If you're confused, watch my previous 2 videos. So now input box, and we have 2 arguments. So our first argument is the message which will appear above the box. So it's basically the instructions that we're giving it. Actually the instructions that it will give to us, like enter the body of the email, enter name of recipient. We can make it whatever. And then the second one is just the title, like here, as it says here. That's basically what we need. You don't need to type it like this, but I find it useful, for example, if you want to have like first your company name and everything, and then you want to add the results of the input box. That's why it's very useful to have functions for everything. Just have functions for everything. It's, it never hurts. So after we set the body, we need to set the recipient. So that's eMessage.setRecipient, which is our email address that we've hard-coded in. And then we need to set the subject, which is not subject, which is our eSubject. Awesome. Now we need to attach the attachment. So this is a bit more complicated, so listen closely. We do our email set and this is weird, attachment with an E. I don't know why it's like that, but hey, attachment. Set the attachment. And now we use the convertToUrl function, and then we use a function that I'll create called GetCurrentFile, and oh boy, four brackets. So what this will do is we'll get the current file, and then we'll convert that file to a URL, and then set that as an attachment. Very simple. So let's create the GetCurrentFile function, which will just be dim path, so the path to file as a string. The path for a file is a string, and then we just need to type in path equals this component. If you remember from the previous videos, this component is the current file which you have open. This component dot get URL. So it will get the path to this document which you have open in our system. So the absolute path from whatever drive we're into, in whatever folder it is. And then, as previously, get current file equals path. Again, you don't need to do this, but it's helpful for everything. Really, always use functions for everything. It's good code practices. Now we just need to send our attachment. We'll send our email, actually, not just our attachment. So we do that by telling the email client, hey, send simple mail message. Okay, what's a simple mail message? Well, that's the eMessage that we typed above. So we have the body, recipient, the subject, the attachment, and everything. And now we just need to pass in something called flags. So flags will tell the function extra info that it needs to know, so that it can, do something that we want it to do. So in this case, we don't want it to appear in front of us and tell us like, hey, I'm sending this email. Do you want to change it? Do you want to add or remove something? We just want to send the email like silently. So we can pass this flag. Yeah. Isn't that beautiful? And after this, that's basically it. So now if we run our macro, a prompt will appear, enter the body of the email. So the body will be first draft of spreadsheet. And now it's gonna freeze, and now if we go to my inbox, what? No way. It sent the spreadsheet. That's it for this video. If this video was made as of your request, if you have something to request, just ask and I'll make it. It's fun for me to do this. So, bye.